Cut.
Okay, whenever I talk about my childhood, I have to always talk about my twin sister Jean, who was my other self, and we did everything together, and of course all the important events in our lives were shared. So we were born together, which is a big event, 3 minutes apart. Now, she was born 11/28, and I was born 11/31. Who remembers those dates? And if we had been born a half hour later, we would have been a day apart, which probably would have confused things even more, because we didn't look alike at all.
And where were you born? And where did you live?
I didn't, people used to ask us if we looked alike as we got older. And I said, no, I was the pretty one, and Jean was the smart one, which is awful. I should never call Jean smart and not pretty. She was a lovely lady. And I was a skinny runt, very skinny. And my mother used to say to me, when you get older and have children of your own, I hope they won't eat for you. I got that. And then,
And where were you raised? Where were you born? What's?
Oh, I was born in Drake Hospital in Queens. As I said, 3 minutes apart. And we were born and raised in Woodhaven, and went to St. Thomas the Apostle Catholic Grammar School in Woodhaven. And then we ended up going to a Brooklyn school, Franklin K. Lane. Now, the reason we went to the Brooklyn school is it was no fee. See, we were twins. And my sister Dorothy was able to go to the diocesan high school, but my father couldn't afford 2 tuitions for us to go to Catholic high school. And it was $30 a month, can you believe? But he couldn't afford it. We didn't have much money. But we never knew we were poor because we never lacked for anything. And I should talk about the clothes, because it was a terrible thing to do to a child, but we didn't even think about it. I was skinny, and Jean was what was called a chubby, and there was an actual section in children's clothes for chubby. And when you think of what PC would do to that now, they'd rip the clothes to shreds, I'm sure. So my mother dressed us alike, and she tried to match the dresses, and we couldn't sometimes. So Jean couldn't wear one of mine, so I had to wear one of hers. So I would sometimes, in my skinniness, wear a chubby dress, but they all had big belts, and I tied the belt, so I had this excess clothes all over me, but I didn't mind. See, St. Thomas's didn't have uniforms then.
Jean, tell us about your parents.
My parents. My parents were lovely, lovely people, and I have nothing but fond, loving memories of them both. My father was a CPA. I was so proud of that. And he was left-handed, and I was left-handed, so we had this kinship. And he went to NYU, and he worked his way through college playing in a Dixieland band. So he loved Dixieland, and because he loved it, I love it. You don't hear it anymore. I don't hear it at all. So every Saturday afternoon, I was a teenager even before I was married, we would sit and listen to his records. I'd be sitting there knitting, tapping away to the Dixieland music, and it was great. I loved that music. And he was also a New York Giants fan. And at the time, Leo DeRocha managed the Dodgers, and I forget who managed the Giants. And see his face, I can't remember his name. And, well, Leo got in trouble, of course. having extramarital something or other with Elaine Day, no less, a lady in at all times. And so he had to take a year off. So it was rescheduled, and they put Leo DeRocha as manager of the Giants. My father almost had a stroke. The man he hated like anything was now his manager. Now then he loved him. He was a good manager. So we would go to Dodger Giant games together. I was his son because I love baseball. And we'd go to doubleheaders. And they literally were doubleheaders, one game after another. You got the 2 games. And there'd be 2 at Polo Grounds and 2 at Ebbets Field. And we would go. We would enjoy it.
And what were your parents' names? What were their names?
Huh?
What were your parents' names?
My father's name was Henry George Kirwan, but he was Harry his entire life. He died on a Sunday morning early, so they started announcing the name of Henry Kirwan, who just died, yes, sadly, and people were poking, is that Harry? Is that Harry? They never heard him called Henry. That was funny. And then my mother was Dorothy, and she was the second of 12. My grandmother had 6 girls, and she had 6 boys. Yeah. She only went, I think, the 6th grade. This was in the teens. And, but she could handle anything. She was a lovely lady. She was a good mother, always ironing. And she would take us shopping. She was cute. And
tell us about your other siblings.
Oh, then we had another sister. You know, I'm talking about Jean so much. But we had another sister, Dorothy. She was only named after my mother. She was only 2 years older. And we did a lot of things together. But Jean and I always were together. And sometimes we'd, you know, be selfish and push her out. Not intentionally. We would never hurt anybody. But she would follow us because we were cut-ups. We had fun. I have nothing but absolutely fond memories of my childhood.
Before we talk about your children, let's talk about the most important thing. Who's your favorite son-in-law?
My favorite son-in-law. Oh, I have a lot of son-in-laws. I have, well, Walter came into the group of 20 points ahead because his mother knitted. That was a big factor. But then I had Joe, who saved my life from my nemesis, the escalator at Penn Station. He saved me from a fate worse than death.
Sounds like a good guy.
Hero.
Sounds like a good guy.
He really is somebody special. And I've never seen 2 people who could love each other more than him and my daughter, Mary-Joan, her name is, Mary-Joan. And I always knew she had so much love to give, and she found the perfect man for it. Yes.
Tell me more about MJ growing up.
MJ, you know, we're Catholic and you're not supposed to believe in the signs, you know, the astronomical signs. But she
Astrological?
Yeah, she definitely was an Aries. Aries is the god of war. Mary-Joan. And one time she was in the school, she told her, in high school, and they were talking about being left on a desert island, and she was told, the class was told, okay, the girls sit and try to cook something, and the boys go out and find some wood. And she says, why the boys? Girls can do that. I mean, she was very reactionary. I remember when at somebody said, speaking for Mary-Joan, and she stood up and she said, no one is ever going to speak for me. But she was my athlete. She could do anything. Softball, tennis, very good. Basketball, she was good at basketball, yes.
Tell me about her siblings, your other children.
And then there was Bernadette. Bernadette was my smart one. And it's funny, because her daughter, the Lord gave her one, is a merit scholar, and she got a full scholarship to college. Thank God, because she had to put 3 others through the University of Maryland. I know what it's like, but her, a hell of a lot more money than it was when our kids were young. All right, so she was very smart and always very pretty, very ladylike. And she played basketball with Mary-Joan. And didn't play tennis, but she played softball. So they were in teams together, okay? And then there's my 3rd child. I'm going to talk about my 3rd child. I'm probably going to cry. My 3rd child was my sweet Theresa. Now, when she was born, my obstetrician, after the fact, I remember he kept going over to look at her in the delivery room, and he said, there's something wrong, he said, but her heart is good, she's healthy, but there's something wrong, so he warned me. And I thanked him after the fact. I said, thank you for warning me, because I wouldn't have known what to say when the pediatrician came in and told me that they used the word, she was a mongoloid. I didn't know what one was. I had no idea what a mongoloid was. And he said, he was a dope anyway. Well, she'll never go to college. That's what he said to me. She'll never go to college. But I was very upset, crying, because I thought something had happened to her, because I saw my beautiful baby girl in delivery, and I'm to come in and tell me something's wrong with her. I thought maybe, am I being funny, maybe she grew another head, or her head fell off. I had no idea how this beautiful child could be a grotesque monster, the way he described it. And the boy brought it to me, and she was just sweet, beautiful, lovable. That nothing could change that. I just loved her to pieces. She was so good. Everybody loved her. Hi, Mommy, I'm home. That's what she would say when she'd come in from her class. Hi, Mommy, I'm home. And we built a supermarket, and it was W-A-W-A, Wawa supermarket, she would say. Oh, no, I won't say that. I won't put that on. But she was very, very special to us. And she had a bad heart. So we had her for 17 years. And we never would have touched any instrument. She was in a coma for 10 days. But we didn't have to make a decision, because the heart was so bad, the heart faded away. So she died of, even though she was in a coma, the heart killed her. Yeah, she was so precious.
Yeah, it touches MJ every time she sees someone with Down syndrome.
If nothing else, my own children developed a love or empathy with children like that. Mm-hmm. You know, I never had to worry about them making fun of anybody, or or being mean. Mm-hmm. Because one time when she hit me if I tell you. One time Bernadette decided, Bernadette and Mary-Joan went to the University of Delaware, and they both ran a sorority. Well, Bernadette is always up there with government because she was so smart. She arranged all her part of Greek Week. Each fraternity sorority had something they did. So she was going to raise the money for the retarded. Oh no, Special Olympics. And she had the balloons, she had balloons or something, and they released the balloons in a field, and there were horses there, and the horses went wild, and they almost got in trouble for releasing the balloons by the horses. Oh, I didn't know if she was going to get expelled. It was funny. But one day, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, all my kids were together for something. But Bernadette was going to be late. And I said, why are you late? I said, I'm working Special Olympics today. I mean,
that's great.
They do it.
Tell me about your other kids.
Jimmy, very, 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 very quiet. But I think I told you last night, he played tennis. I had tennis, chess. He enjoyed that. He was good at it. And after he went to college, he learned how to play bridge. So a couple times his friends would come over, and I'd be a fourth. And one time, don't do this, he was so happy to trump my card. There was an ace. You don't trump your partner's ace. You don't. That's a no-no in bridge. Yeah, you probably don't know bridge. And now that I play the other game, what did I say it was called? I forget. I lose words sometimes. Pinochle. You trump the ace. It's so hard for me to do that. I think it's the hardest thing I've ever done was to trump my partner's ace. Yeah. Oh, so that was Jimmy. Oh, and he went to Manhattan College, and he wanted to, extend his time, so he joined the Marines. So he had to wait a year before he could get in. He had a job as a security guard at some factory, and he went into the Marines for 4 years, and he debated about staying in the Marines or joining National Guard, because he'd get credit for the Marine, but National Guard had an education program that was better for him. So he joined the National Guard. And almost immediately he went to Iraq. He's there now. But he didn't date or anything. But he was just computer. So he met a girl online from Latvia, one of the Balkan states under Latvia. So he says, I want to go meet her. So, all right. Cause I was the intermediate. You didn't tell Jim anything, my husband, until it was a fact. So, oh, geez. He goes to Latvia, and Jim says, where's he going on vacation? He's going to Latvia. Who goes to Latvia on vacation? Oh, he wants to see that part of the world. So he calls me from Maffia and said, she's the one, I've asked her to marry me. I said, okay, well, I'll support you in everything, but you're telling your father. So he comes home and he tells Jim, I'm going to marry a girl from Maffia. I said, wow. It was out of left field. So, what happened then? Oh, she had to wait 6 months, and then she came over. She was the fiancé of an American, so she got over. She got a green card. I don't know all the steps. We went take her for tests and things. But then that's when they get called up. So they were married. I didn't go to the wedding. I mean, they were married by the mayor of a small town in New Jersey, and Jean and Sheila and Keith were the attendants. Yeah. It's for quite a while now. So he went over to Iraq. So she lived with me for a year. So we really got to know each other. We were friends. She's lovely, and after he came back, she eventually became a citizen. She's a citizen. And they seem happy. They come to our parties and everything. They don't do much socially with us. No, that's not right. They socialize with us, but they don't do that much. All right? And then, because Theresa was right in the middle of the family, we used to call the two big girls would be Mary-Joan and Bernadette, and then we had the two little girls, Bridget and Sheila. They were so cute. They both had blonde hair. They were towheads. They had blonde hair. Oh, they were beautiful. And I'm getting with it.
Do you want to take a break?
Yeah.
You want some water? We'll take a break.
Okay.
All right. Go.
Then we have Bridget. She's number 5. I remember once she said, "Mom, don't get out of the car when you pick me up at school." This is grammar school. I said, "Why not?" She said, "Well, you've got gray hair." I said, "I have gray hair." I said, "All your friends, they're the first child of everybody. You're my 5th child. Of course I have gray hair. I've had 4 before you." All right. But then they both went to St. John Vianney, Bridget and Sheila. And God help me, they were cheerleaders. Oh, I'll tell you, they wanted to make that an Olympic sport. You have never seen people practice as much as they do. And they're really skilled athletes, but they never did make it. Well, of course, high school, you couldn't do all those awful, scary jumps that the professional do. But they were so cute. "It's raining men," that was their song. Okay. And then Sheila, of course, was a cheerleader also. They were great. I was so proud of them for getting involved with things like that.
Where did you raise all the kids?
That was in Manalapan Township, New Jersey, where we moved. Wait a minute. November 23rd, I knew the date, 1963. Jim and I were in Brooklyn Dime Savings signing our mortgage. So we get out and we start walking. My mother was watching Mary-Joan. So we were going to go to a movie. It was McClintock. We saw McClintock. The things I remember. And then they used to have newsstands around. So I walked up, there was a big crowd around all the newsstands, and I said, "What's going on?" I'm not proud, I'm not sure. "What's happening?" And someone said, "Somebody shot the president." I said, "I don't think that's funny." That was my reaction. "That's not funny at all." So we were getting the move. I said to Jim, "I wonder if it's true." So I went, then you had public phones. I could not get through on a public phone to call my mother, see if Mary-Joan was. I couldn't get through. So I came back and we watched McClintock. I said, "I wonder if it's true. Someone shot President Kennedy." So we get in the car, and the first thing we hear on the news, the Pope has sent his solicitations to the Kennedy family on the death of the president. I said, "Oh, Jim, it's true." Anyway, we were moving the next day from Jamaica, where we lived for a year, to Manalapan Township. So, we're so bad. We pick Irish names whenever we see them. So we saw 3 guys with Irish names as movers. So we picked them. So, the 3 of them come in to help move us. And I don't know if it was our bottle or their bottle, but they had to have a shot for the president. Every time they come in to move a piece of furniture, they'd have a shot for the president. Yeah. And the last thing out was the TV set, and the first thing in was the TV set. So, I'm there for the weekend. And we find a church, we go to church, and we come back, and I turn it on, and as I turn it on, Oswald gets shot. That was live on television too, So I was really mixed up in the history of all of this. Yeah. Anyway, they were raised in Alban, a nice little town.
I'm sorry. Continue. Tell us about your husband.
Oh, my husband, James McKeon. I met him at an over 21 club, monthly dance at a Lady Queen of Modest in Forest Hills. And I met 3 guys that night. I was popular, and I liked him, but the others kept asking me to dance too. But he had a grin, he had a smile, you could eat up. It was so good. And then I went out with the other 2, and he didn't call, but it seems he was getting a car. He had to wait till he got the car, so he did. So before the next dance, which was every month, we were dating. And that was it. We were dating from then on. And he had just graduated from St. John's, 1960 we met. Just graduated from St. John's. He majored in philosophy. Who majors in philosophy? My husband. And he was thinking of going to law school. So we get an apartment in the Queens. And Briarwood it was called. It was a section of Jamaica. And he decides he's going to go to law school. It was a lot easier then. It was 1963. So, no, 62. And he took 4 tests. Oh no, he took an aptitude test for 4 schools. I know one was NYU, St. John's, Fordham, and one of the city schools, I don't remember which one. He scored so well, he could have gone to any one of them. But he picked Fordham. I got a shift. He picked Fordham because that was midtown, and he figured he could get on the subway and come home. That's why he picked Fordham. So he graduated from Fordham in 1966. Don't tell anybody, but he took the bar 3 times. Like John Kennedy. The first time he took it at Cole from the law school. And, it was New York. And he had to take the New Jersey bar. So we finally took the New Jersey bar. And he passed. So, but he couldn't open offices or anything because by that time we had Theresa, we had 3 children. So he did a lot of side stuff. I was his secretary. A lot of wills, some closings. I would always say, which are you going to be, the buyer or the seller? And he said, I'm the buyer. I said, oh good, because the seller needs more paperwork. And we did that for quite a while. I remember being in hard labor, typing a will because I had to get it done. I'm in the middle of labor pains typing a will. Okay.
Tell us about your...
Oh, so he was always very religious, always went to Mass. So this is when the diaconate program came in, so our pastor asked him if he'd like to be a deacon. He said, sure. So he became a deacon. He was deacon for over 30 years in the Trenton Diocese. And then so anyway, he had a bachelor's degree and a JD, which is a graduate degree for law. And then after he got out of school, stopped working, he went to a nearby Catholic college, Georgian Court, flaming liberals, and got his master's in theology. Well, I'm surprised he wasn't thrown out of the school because he had nuns and they were all so liberal. The Mass is not a sacrifice, the Mass is a dinner. He'd go crazy because he was raised in a strict Catholic. I mean, he went to Cathedral High School, which is usually the seminary to go into the seminary, the major seminary, but he decided he liked girls, so he switched to St. John's. But he was, I said, Jim, they're going to throw you out of the school. And he'd come home so mad. I said, pray for her. Pray for her because she has no idea what she's saying. Oh. Well, they let it go. They had a get-together at the end, and I went over to the nun. I said, he give you a hard time? She said, oh my God, I sweated him out. Yeah.
Tell us about your working career. Tell us about your career and what your schooling and
My career is like a dinosaur, a lost art. I was a secretary, and
for who?
Oh, the first job was for NW Air and advertising agency, and then I switched over to Young and Rubicam, which is even a bigger advertising agency. I worked there until on account. I worked there till I was 6 months pregnant with Mary-Joan. But you had to take a leave. You weren't guaranteed your job, and you certainly didn't get any money. So I remember Bernadette with one of her kids. And I said, well, at least you'll go back to getting a salary. I said, oh, I get my salary. I said, you get paid while you're on maternity leave? I couldn't believe that. Well, I didn't get paid. Okay, yeah. And then I had children. So by the time Sheila, I'm one of those people who works. So I was PTA stuff, and Jim was a volunteer fireman. So I was one of the wives who helped raise funds, give parties, etc. I was busy, you know, you could be busy without a job, you know. Then I started getting part-time jobs. My best job was the last one I had. I was a secretary in a law firm. No, I was receptionist in a law firm. I think there were something like 6 or 7 lawyers. And I never asked for a raise, but I kept getting raises. And I said, how come I don't ask for? Because everybody likes you, Joan. They're so glad when they get you on the phone because you're always polite and you know their voices, etc. So, but then Jim had retired, and they kept calling me. I couldn't stand it anymore. I said, I have to quit because he's driving me crazy. Where is this? When are you going to be home? Blah, blah, So that was my career. Not much.
Tell us about your grandchildren.
Bernadette had bought a house in Severn, and we were there for, the frame was down, and we went over and she says, that's when she told me, they're going to have a baby. It was Maura. I was so excited. And Jim didn't want to hear it. Jim, aren't you excited about having a grandchild? No, I don't want to hear it. I couldn't believe him. He was I don't know, maybe he thought instantly he'd be one of these old men breathing heavy trying to fix a toy. I said, no, I mean, it's not going to change you. But he didn't like it, dear. But someone asked you, how do you feel? I said, I've been waiting. So anyway, she was born. She was only a day old. And we went to see her in the bassinet. And there's this perfect, beautiful little person. Jessie last night, I said, it's like a closure. I mean, Jim and I and our children, and now we're starting to close the circle. That's the way I felt. And then we had 9 more. But
So who was the second one after Maura?
First 3 were Maura, Deidre, and Kayden. Then the others started having them. Sheila's was Kaitlin. Wait a minute. She was so beautiful. I mean, she still is. I tell everybody, she walks into a room and my heart stops because she's just so beautiful, Kaitlin. And then they had Kyle. Oh, he's gorgeous. And then Kamryn, who has many problems. And my cutie pie, I still call him that, Kayden, who just turned 16. Kamryn was born with, what is it, encephalitis? I don't know what it's called, with the big head. So by the time they figured out what to do, they did a shunt to get rid of the liquid there. He was blinded. So I figured there was so much pressure on the brain all that time. And then he was diagnosed autistic. But he is the sweetest young man. I call Sheila, hi Grandma. Hello Karen. Hi Grandma. So cute. Oh, and then Bridget had Henry and James. I said, it sounds like...
Don't forget Erin.
I took English literature. Henry James was a famous author.
Don't forget Erin.
Who'd I... I forgot our baby girl, the beautiful Erin. She was so beautiful. Blonde, another blonde. Oh, and now she's absolutely gorgeous young lady. She's 20 like Kyle. They were both born in 2000. I will always know how old they are. I got everybody?
I think so.
I think so. They're all wonderful. I'm so proud of them. I love them so much. I say sometimes, you know, there's a lot of words in the English language, but sometimes there's no word for how you feel about something. There is no word for how I feel about my 5 children and how I feel about my grandchildren. It's beyond stupendous. You know, it's beyond love. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, I love them all so much. They've completed me. I remember saying, Gina and I wanted to be movie stars. So we were going to be discovered. You know, we took dance lessons, all that stuff. And I remember writing to Mary-Joan once, I wanted to be rich and famous, which didn't happen. And then I said, I was hoping I could change the world. And I said, I didn't do it, but I have 10 wonderful people in my life who will do it for me. And they will. They'll change the world for me, for the better.
And don't forget your granddogs.
Forget my what?
Your granddogs. The dogs of your children.
I don't know what you're saying.
The dogs. Don't forget the granddogs.
And then my daughter Mary-Joan and one of my favorite sons-in-laws, Joe, had their 3 beautiful little doggies. Oh, I don't think they know they're dogs. Beautiful little babies. And I love them. I've been with them for a couple of days. And I don't know what it is about my legs, but they love to lick my legs, and I'm always putting them up and covering them up. What's so inviting about my legs? They're cute, they're sweet. It's fun to be with them. They're all so beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Joan. Is there anything else you want to say? New York, Jersey, Baltimore?
I'm trying to, what would be my philosophy of life? To do good, be a reflection of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, who is an example to everybody, who has been in my life for so long, and his most precious, precious, sweet, lovely, gorgeous mother, our Blessed Mary. I just want to have them in my life all the time. And I figure I'm just blessed that I have them. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan.